Hey guys, this is Jen Banks with Banks Canine Solutions. I'm a dog trainer located in Fitchburg, Massachusetts. You can visit my website to find out more, www.bankskcaninesolutions.com. This is my weekly dog training question and answer, and I'm going to get right into it with the first question from Bridget. My 5-month-old GSP is the worst on her leash, pulls until she is choking and even pulls so hard it lifts her front legs up. Martingale collar didn't work, and she didn't respond to the prong collar I tried. Suggestions on how to get her to not pull, please. I have gotten her a harness just so that she doesn't hurt her neck. I think the harness is a great thing to use just to kind of prevent her from pulling on her neck. I'm sure you know this already, but it's not going to solve the problem. It just prevents it until you have a better solution. So as far as leash walking goes, regardless of the piece of equipment you're using, you need to make sure that you teach the dog the concept of not pulling, but also of looking at you and walking with you in an easy environment. So what people do too often is they try to just take the dog on a walk through the neighborhood or take the dog to a dog-friendly store or something like that, and that's where they try to work on the behavior, and the dog is too distracted. So think of when you want to play a sport. So say you want to play soccer, you don't just go to a soccer game and start playing soccer. You need to go to soccer practice and learn the rules of the game. So you need to practice leash skills with your dog before you can use them in real life, in those real life situations. And especially with a prong collar, a lot of people use a prong collar like an emergency brake. They just kind of put it on and expect it to do the work for them. You need to teach her how to respond to the prong collar before you can just kind of go for a walk. So I would do these things in your house first, and then after she's got a really good idea of what you're looking for in the house, then I would work in the yard. Then after working in the yard, once you get to the point where she's really focused on you, then you can start to move into your neighborhood or other places, but you want to build it slowly, and especially, she's young, right? She's only five months old, so that's really young. At 5 months old, Moon Pie wasn't going for a walk around my neighborhood. So those are the things I would do, and I think I have a leash pressure video somewhere on my YouTube page. It's not just, you don't just want to teach her not to pull, but you want to teach her that when she feels pressure on her neck, she should turn and look at you. And I do have a video on this if you want to learn more. So be patient, give it time. A lot of it is about engagement too, just really giving her a reason to want to work with you. So there are a few different things you can do to make that fun. Like every time she looks at you, you can feed her. You can have food and feed her from your hand. You can also toss food. Some dogs like that more. If she looks at you and you take a treat and like toss it so she gets to go chase it. You want to make it a fun game for her because she's a young, active dog, and if we just try to make it strict, boring obedience, she's not going to have a very good time. The other thing too, I know you have another dog. You might need to put Turbo away for this. So you might need to put him away just so that she can really focus on you and not be too distracted. So minimize distractions, get a really solid behavior, and then build on that. And also, if you haven't already, I would enroll in an obedience class because this is definitely something that that Christina and I could help you with. All right. So the next question comes from Tracy. When we go to the back door to go into the yard, all hell breaks loose. My fault, all we do is play in the yard. I try to get them to back off from the door and do it down, but even still there is whining and the excitement level is off the chart. How do I calm them and still manage to go into the yard? Right now, we would never get out there. So I'm wondering if you only use this door for playtime. So I'm wondering, is this the door that you also use to go outside and let them go to the bathroom? If not, if you only use that door for playtime, I would also use it for bathroom breaks, because what you want more practice throughout the day. Play sessions, you're maybe only doing 1 or 2 play sessions a day. Bathroom breaks, you're probably doing 4, 5, 6 a day. So the more repetition, the better for you. One of the first things I would do is don't draw a lot of attention to playtime. So a lot of people, I do it myself. Luckily it hasn't backfired yet, but I'll say, you want to go for a walk? You want to go outside? You want to go play? And I get them kind of revved up. So if you are still doing that, stop. Maybe you've already started doing that. I'm not really sure. And the other thing I would do is I would start to teach impulse control in that situation, which I'll get to in a minute, but very similar to the last answer I just gave, you might need to teach a little bit more impulse control in a calmer situation before really dealing with the issue at the door. So I might, depending on what they get excited about, you know better than I do. I'm sure there are moments throughout the day where they're just like really excited and kind of trying to act without thinking. Maybe it's during feeding time, maybe it's when they're let out of the crate, maybe it's if you take a toy out in the house, but those are little moments where you can start to create a little bit of impulse control. For example, with Moon Pie, I don't have toys out for her. Toys come out when we're playing and then they go away when we're done. And if I have a toy and I'm holding it out away from her, she just goes through all her obedience really quick. I'll sit and I'll down and I'll stand and I'll heel, and she's not thinking, she's just doing to get the toy. So one of the things I've done with her is I wait for calm attention. I don't care what position she's in so much, as long as she's still and looking at my eyes, not at the toy. And I do this inside and teach her that gets her the toy. And then eventually I do it outside. And then I get play to be a little bit more exciting. So I would try that with other situations aside from the door. Maybe with food. Some people need to do it with food where they hold food out in their hand but are working on getting the dog to look at them, and it's mostly a waiting game at that point. And once it clicks for the dog, they understand, oh, okay, calm focus is what's going to get me what I want, as opposed to just throwing out a bunch of behaviors. And then at the door, that's the other thing I would do, is I would often practice at the door where you just kind of go over there and practice a little bit of obedience without actually going through the door, just to get that settled. You might need to work with the dogs one-on-one before you can do this together, which I know is a pain, but it's really hard to train two dogs at once. I don't train two dogs at once. Luckily, by the time I got Moon Pie, Bamba already knew a lot, so I didn't have to do a ton of training at doors and whatnot. But they're feeding off of each other, and it's really hard to give appropriately timed feedback to both dogs. So you might need to maybe work with one dog first, put that dog away, and then work with the other dog and do a little bit of individual playtime. The other thing I would do is a lot of if the leash isn't on, I would put it on in the beginning, and you could just walk in and out of the door. Do a lot of just like, we're going to put the leash on, I'll have you sit, pretend you're at the training center, I'll have you sit, we'll open the door, we'll go out, we'll go back in, we'll go out, we'll go back in, we'll go out, we'll go back in, without any sort of release to crazy excitement, crazy playtime. For my dogs, they have to wait for release into my yard. So they go through the door, and then I expect them to pay attention to me again before being released into the yard for playtime. This is mostly safety for me because I don't have a fenced-in yard, so I want to go see what's in the yard before I let my dogs go out there. But it's something that I'd encourage you to try as well. I would bring them out, do it in the beginning on leash if you have to, but I'd bring them out on leash, I'd have them sit, and I'd have them pay attention to you before releasing them to free roam around the yard. And you might need to keep, right after the release, I would keep everything calm for a little bit. I wouldn't release them and go right into crazy play. Release them, and like if they run around and be crazy, that's fine, but I wouldn't feed into it. And then after you've been out there for a few minutes, and then start to take some toys out. Keep me posted on that. I know it's something you've been struggling with for a while, but hopefully that stuff helps. All right, you guys, that is going to do it for my question and answer for today. I will see you all soon.